God bless you. I want to apologize in advance if I become emotional about this topic. I don't have a personal reason to be emotional about it, but I tend to become emotional about this topic in particular. Revelation 6, 9 through 17, the fifth seal is opened, and it reveals all those who've been martyred for their faith and their faithfulness in Jesus. Every time that you have wanted to avenge an injustice that happened to a believer, ways that the church has been hurt, ways that those that you have loved have been damaged for their loyalty to Jesus, God is going to avenge them in His own time. Do not be deceived. Our God of love is a God of justice as well, who is going to settle all scores. Every unfair thing that you have stewed with and chosen not to raise a hand against, God is going to make right. God, when this seal is opened, is going to wait as a few more martyrs that have been predestined give their lives for the gospel and for their love and loyalty to Jesus. That brave young man who went to Sentinel Island to visit the North Sentinelese in intent to bring them the gospel and was killed with an arrow through his body. He is under that altar. Every martyr, each of the apostles that was crucified, that was martyred in some fashion for the gospel, every man, woman, and child who has experienced this, God is saying, I've been counting. I've been keeping a record of these things matter to me. And these things will be corrected and brought to justice, brought to account before the end of the world. Some people I'm speaking to will be martyred. Some people I know will be martyred. Perhaps I will be martyred. You have no guarantee about your method of death unless God has told you personally. I won't debate you if you say God has given you an insight into how you're dying. Revelation 6:12 through 15, Jesus opens the sixth seal. There's a great earthquake. The sun is black and the moon is red. Sounds like an eclipse and a blood moon, but there's more. Stars fall. Is that meteorites? Is that an actual alteration of the structure of the universe? The universe itself is shaken. The sky rolls back like a scroll. All land masses are relocated. When the sky rolls back like a scroll, I want you to remember that if you can't see God, it's because you're limited. If you can't hear God, it's because you're limited. The things that we're allowed to experience are a tiny piece of a larger God-created reality that is being torn open in this verse so we can see reality. All world leaders will become afraid. The most powerful people in the world and the richest people in the world, even those that think that they have doomsday bunkers, even those that think that have the protection of governments and militaries, it says they will all hide. It says they will say, hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. They are saying, we know it's God up there, we know He's in charge, we know He has a right to judge us, and we know that we have sinned. And we would rather die than face Him. By the way, if you've ever wondered who is unredeemable, it is a person who would rather die than give themselves over to God. It's in their heart right there. Before this ever comes, these people have in their hearts, I'd rather die. And it's not necessarily the wealthy, but it is easier when you have everything you want to not feel like you need anything. And for the wrath of the Lamb. This is such an interesting image. The Lion of Judah is terrifying. We know that in the Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis chooses to represent the majesty of God as a lion, majesty of Jesus as a lion. And when he growls at the white witch, you understand fear. It is a terrible thing to fall in the hands of the living God. But the phrase, it's a terrible thing to fall in the hands of a lamb. We fear the wrath of the Lamb. This is something that I can't understand. It is hard to understand. And yet, the one they will fear is a lamb. God is a God of judgment. He is going to bring judgment on those that have rebelled, those that have lived with an absolute hatred of God's authority on their life. And yes, some of that is the very wealthy, some of that is the very powerful. But that is all those who have rejected Jesus, all those that have made their life's mission to be godless, to be independent of God. Thank you, brothers and sisters. If I have blessed you at all, please like and subscribe and pray for me. In Jesus' name.